All right, critics, it's your turn. That's right, Mormons. I'm going to defend the church from those mean, awful critics, especially that Travis Goodsell. He's so mean to us. It's like he knows everything about us, and there's nothing we can do to stop him. He did this contest, and nobody's competing in the contest, and they're only putting thumbs down, which is a fallacy. You lose. You must now join the church or leave the church. That's the contest, guys. If you fail to prove the church is true, like putting a thumbs down, you must leave the church. So there's 4 of you last I saw. And so blonde? What are you doing as a blonde? Okay, so this is this is my video plan. We're going to go over critics of the church. That's right, we're going to do a comment video because Jennifer Flower, a regular commenter and subscriber to my channel, suggested that I do comment videos on Mormon sites. And so I did Saints Unscripted, and oh man, was that a nightmare. If that's the new generation of the church, oh, the church is in deep trouble. They got racism, sexism. It's just bad news for the church if that's the rising generation. So instead, I'm going to help Mormons out. I'm going to defend the church against the false accusations of critics. My thing is in the way. Can't see Haley. Okay. And so we're going to help out It's Me Jessie channel. And we'll try to get her boosted, which she doesn't need it. Her first video 3 months ago was already at 1.4K, and then 1.8K, 1.4K, 3.3K, 1.3K, 2.9K, 1.1K, 755. So nobody was interested in blood atonement and racism, I guess. 6.1K, and 392, 1K, 2.7K, and 6.9K. Oh, and 2K, 2.2K, 3.7. She's already at 1.2K in one day? Damn, girl. You's hot. She's on fire. Somebody get me a hose to hose it down. She's going to burn up the internet. So yeah, we're going to comment on her videos. And if you're not familiar with her videos, then you need to go see her videos. I like her style. However, she makes some errors. And we'll be discussing those errors. Because she's full on exposing the church. And she even does one, let's see, where is it? Yeah, why do I target the Mormons? What do I believe? So she has that. And for the most part, she's, well, it depends. Sometimes she puts out a 27-minute video, like the one I'm going to do today. So, okay. So yes, I may have to do 2-parters. We'll have to see. But yeah, we're gonna defend the church. Somebody's got to do it because Mormons can't do it. So I expect those 4 of you to be leaving the church, not going to church on Sunday. You know who you are. Okay. We'll start with her most recent video. LDS Secrets, Freemasonry, the Occult, and Satanist Symbols. This is my specialty. You know, before Dan Brown became the symbol expert of movies, I was already involved in symbol interpretation with Paleo Hebrew and have become the foremost expert on the decipherment of Paleo Hebrew. So here we go.
Hi, thanks for tuning in.
Oh,
Just
hey.
quick before we get started,
What?
I wanted to say that I cover so much
Okay.
in this video, from the endowment ceremony rituals to the symbols found on LDS buildings and temples to the translation of the Book of Mormon, just so much, and it's ties to Freemasonry and the occult and Satanism. So if you can just stick with me to the end, good information will be in this video. Unfortunately, I had to read a lot, and that is just quite simply because it's way too much information for me to memorize. But regardless of that, good information to know, and I'm just so glad that you tuned in. So here's the lowdown with the critics' position towards the LDS Church in regards to Freemasonry. The LDS temple ceremony has so many parallels to Masonic rites, and for very good reason, because Joseph Smith himself he introduced the rites in the LDS temple just 2 short months after becoming a Freemason himself.
Wrong. Again, she's going off of other people's information, so it's secondhand information. That's the biggest mistake that critics of the church are making. And it's the same error that Mormons are making. They're going to the church for all their answers to their questions, but the church is specifically deceiving them. Critics of the church, and she makes a number of these errors in this video, they go to secondhand information. You'll hear her refer to Fawn Brody's book, for example. Fawn Brody is not a primary source. Fawn Brody wrote her book in Brody. Yeah, No Man Knows My History. That's the one we want. All right. So, first published in 1945. 100 years later, that's not a primary source. So, yeah, that may be great, and it's, oh, wow, she says so much stuff against the church, it's awesome. She's a secondary source. And in many cases, she's a tertiary source, because she's referring to secondary source material from the past, as is the common mistake to go after David Whitmer's book, where he accuses Joseph Smith of having sex with a 14-year-old girl, because the church that took off to Utah territory claimed that Joseph Smith secretly practiced polygamy. And so David Whitmer was like, well, Joseph Smith was never like that when I was there. It must have happened after, because 1842, that's when Section 138 was written according to the Brighamite Church, when they put it in the year before Brigham Young died. So again, don't just jump on any little thing that sides with your belief system, whether you're Mormon or an anti-Mormon or critic of the Mormon Church. That's the one big mistake that researchers make. I know you want to prove one position or another, but you can't fall for that kind of trap. And you can't perpetuate that trap upon others. So be cautious of that. So that's my one tip for Jessie here. And so when she's talking about Joseph Smith establishing a Freemasonic temple ritual, no. After Joseph Smith died, changes to the temple ritual were made. So remember, when you're looking at the facts were that Joseph Smith had the Freemasonic order. They were allowed to meet in 1842. The Grand Master of the Warsaw Lodge gave approval only to meet, not to form an actual lodge. The Nauvoo Lodge was not formed until 1843. And so that's even I have to fact check myself to make sure that my facts are correct, because I'm off script here. I am off script. Bum, cinnamon girl. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Okay. All right. Yeah. So he, the Grandmaster Jonas is his name. He did make Joseph Smith a Master Mason in 1842. Abraham Jonas. They're using Joseph Smith papers as the source for that. So that's a primary source. Good job, Wikipedia. You finally got something right. So yeah, but no lodge was allowed. I officiated at the installation of the Lodge of Freemasons. Okay, so maybe it was 1841 when they first went. Yeah, because they're using Joseph Smith's primary source documents, the Joseph Smith papers, not the Joseph Smith history, though they're citing the church history later on here. So, yeah, that's weird. Why would you not cite the Joseph Smith papers? See, they get something right, and then they blow it on the next thing they reference. All right. Okay, so 1842, March 15th, is when he officiated as Grand Chaplain at the installation of the Nauvoo Lodge of Freemasons at the grove near the temple. Grandmaster Jonas of Columbus being present, a large number of people assembled on the occasion. The day was exceedingly fine, all things were done in order, and universal satisfaction was manifest. In the evening I received the first degree in Freemasonry in the Nauvoo Lodge. And then the next day, yeah, 16th, he became a Master Mason. Sublime degree. All right. And the Warsaw Lodge of the Grand Lodge of Illinois, which is important to understand. The Grand Lodge. Jessie also does not do her full research properly on this. There were two main factions of Freemasonry. The Grand Lodge, the Scottish Rites. The Scottish Rites were the bad ones that caused the 1827 anti-Masonic movement, which the Grand Lodge helped perpetuate in order to save the United States, or at least William Morgan, and preserve the information in the Book of Mormon. But that's a different story. All right. So, yeah, that 1841 they were allowed to meet, and then 1842 they were officially a Nauvoo Lodge of the Grand Lodge, which was what his father and brother Hiram were a part of in Palmyra. Let's see. We need to find out Nauvoo. Probably should come up on this. No. No, we don't want Second Temple. Oh, yeah, we do. Thought they were talking about the remake. And 1836 and 1837. No, 1930. No, come on, guys. Church's first temple was completed in Kirtland, Ohio in 1836. Forced out of Nauvoo in 46. Sell the building. Yeah, well, when was the dedicated? Yeah, it was Nauvoo Temple was finished in 1846. So they weren't able to meet together in the same thing. They had to use a separate building. Let's see. Yeah, because on April 6th, 1841, the temple's cornerstone was laid. Greek Revival style of architecture. All right. So, yeah, you got to understand a little bit more about the history behind that. So, we're going to have to make this a two-parter, I think. I'm doing my laundry, so I need to get to that eventually here. So, the first thing you need to understand when you're connecting the church with Freemasonry. 1, there are different branches of Freemasonry. They're not the same. There's similarities, yes, but they're different boys' clubs. And yes, there are those who claim that, oh yeah, women were allowed too. Don't get caught up in distractions that prove your point. Look for the truth, not for confirmation of your beliefs. And that's the important thing that is missing from the big picture of Jessie's video here. The second thing is that Joseph Smith had the Freemasonic Lodge that he was in charge of as a Grand Master. He also had the temple ritual. We don't know his form of the temple ritual, other than Brigham Young made changes, and we know those changes. And so all we have to do is eliminate the changes, and then that gives us what's left for what Joseph Smith had established. And when you do that approach, you realize, no, Joseph Smith kept the temple and Freemasonry separate meetings. And so, for example, baptism, not Freemasonry. Washing and anointings, not Freemasonry. So understand, there's differences. What Brigham Young did was merge the two together so that you have the rituals of baptism, washing and anointings, and then Freemasonry rituals with the name, signs, tokens. See, the Aaronic priesthood and Melchizedek priesthood, that's apprentice and master in Freemasonry. The square and the compass, Freemasonry. Joseph Smith did not do the garments. He had a clothing that you'd put on, but no, not garment marks. That was Brigham Young. And so that's another thing to consider, that Joseph Smith kept them separate. Now she will quote Heber C. Kimball, and And he says that, oh yes, the temple is the true Freemasonic order. She doesn't do a research on Heber C. Kimball. He's Scottish Lodge. He was a master mason in Scottish Lodge. And that's something that both critics and Mormons miss out on. So when you're hearing him talk, you need to understand which side he's on. And again, the anti-Freemasonic movement was the cause, or caused by, the insidious actions of the Scottish Rites, not the Grand Lodge. The Grand Lodge were the heroes of the story, but they had to sacrifice their lodges also in order to save the United States. This is a great historical thing as well, that historians don't even cover. I never heard it, but of course my teacher was an activist, and he just sat behind his desk all day, maybe showed a movie, and we just talked. And he just said, if you want to do a paper, we'll count that as credit towards the class. There's no final, no nothing. So, yeah, I had to do my own government history on my own. Okay, so let's continue.
His brother Hiram and his father, Joseph Smith Sr., as well as Oliver Cowdery, among others, very closely related to him and close people in.
Now, she says Oliver Cowdery in this, which is very interesting. Where is she getting that source from? Oliver Cowdery, Freemason. Because, let's see, the conversion, Oliver Occult influences. Okay, so she's referencing occult and Masonic influence in early Mormonism. See, the pervasive influence of Freemasonry in Mormon temples. Soon after he became a Mason, Joseph induced the... Okay, well, let's see that first one. Let's see. Let's check the occult and Masonic influence. The first one was a BYU apologist, and I can't trust them. And then the other one was the Mormon site. Can't trust them either. Okay, this is a pretty good site. It's mit.ir.org/occult-Masonic-influence-in-early-Mormonism. But again, these, whoops. Yeah, there's D. Michael Quinn, secondary source. Richard S. Van Wagner, secondary source. But I'm not seeing anything about Oliver Cowdery. I'm not discounting it because Hiram was spelled as a child on his birth certificate according to the Freemasonic spelling of Hiram Abiff. And Joseph Smith Sr. had dreams of Tree of Life before moving to Palmyra and becoming a Freemason. And so there's clear indications that Freemasonry was known to nope, that's not listed there either. John A. Widsoe does not list Oliver Cowdery in that. Okay, but that could be after Nauvoo, yeah. Oh, no zone without me. see if I can find the famous Freemasons, Oliver Cowdery. Life goes on. I don't know where you're getting this from, Jessie, but because that would be awesome to find. Definitely indeed. Life goes on. Ah, there we go. There we go. She made an error. Oliver Cowdery's father was a Freemason. That is very interesting. And that's from an LDS site, lds-mormon.com/masonry 1.html. There we go. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. So that would make sense why Smith Sr. knew about Freemasonry, because William Cowdery, cousin to Lucy Mack. There's the familial connection. So that's very cool, man boy. Alrighty. Yep. The abduction of okay. Yep. In addition, Oliver Cowdery's father was a Freemason, and the anti-Masonic movement began in Joseph Smith's own backyard. Yeah. This guy is clueless as to that whole incident. I cannot imagine that the young prophet did not know the details of what appears to have been occurring not only in his own backyard, but within his own home. So continue that. Don't just stop there. Okay. Yep. Alrighty. So thank you, Jessie, for pointing this to my attention. Oliver Cowdery, William Cowdery, was the Freemason. So, yeah. And there's a thing with Freemasonry. It takes time to get into the lodge, to be an actual member. You have to start attending on a regular basis to show that you're willing to go through with it. And so Brigham Young, for example, didn't become a Freemason in his Scottish Rites family lodge. That's right, Young, Kimball. Yeah. So the plot thickens. And I've already done, well, no, I haven't done the church history, but yeah. So I think I should go check my laundry. And so we'll call this part 1. So it's an introduction. So we still have 25 more minutes in her video. So yeah, there's lots of stuff to cover. And Jessie is awesome with what she does, but I really want to help her out. I wish she would have taken my counsel that I gave to her. So, oh well, people want to go on their own. Okay, part 1 is now over, and we'll continue with part 2 when I get back, because then after that I got to go grocery shopping for the weekend, especially if Mueller drops the bomb of the report today. Who knows? But if he does, there's going to be a hellstorm, because Trump's going to find out about it, because Bill Barr will find out about it, and Trump's going to freak out. So even though Bill Barr is most likely going to cover it all up to protect Trump, Trump's still going to freak out about it. So anyway, okay.